Hi, Jana. Welcome to Power Woman Wellness. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I feel this is such a special conversation because she's a dear friend of mine, y'all. So we get to dive into a little bit more of your routine. But before we get into that, share with us who you are, what do you do, what led you onto this career path.
Okay, I'm Jana Roso, and I'm a certified pediatric nurse practitioner. I have been practicing functional medicine now for about 10 years.
So
And
long.
I know I'm like, gosh, that feels weird to say.
Where does the time
Um,
go?
yeah, but I started out at UT and graduated with a child development bachelor's. And I had always had the passion to become a nurse. And so that was really
Okay.
what the direction I wanted to go in. And so I was working at the hospital as a medical assistant and ended up getting into their alternate entry nursing program.
Awesome.
And what's neat about that program is that it allows you to get your RN and then get your master's. And then they had this sidetrack. I don't know that they do this directly anymore, but you were able to apply for the nurse practitioner route. And so that's what I
Mm.
did. And, all the while trying to figure out my own health. And so that is
Yeah.
really, I was going mainstream with everything and then figuring out my own health, and then that led me into the functional route. So it was kind of
Yeah.
roundabout.
Yeah. So share what are some of the health things that you had to go through? Because this will give people a good background of just what you went through and then obviously what you're doing today to take care of your health. But where did your health journey take you?
Yeah, it's fascinating looking back. When you're in it, you don't realize, well, what is this? Like, what's the outcome? What's the purpose of it? But I was pretty sick as a kid with GI issues.
Mm.
If you ask my mom, she would describe me as a really fussy, uncomfortable baby that, they tried
Oh.
15 formulas on.
Oh.
And I'd never really gained weight well. I was always very tiny, petite. And even when they thought they found the right formula, I would get sick and lose a lot of weight. And so it was, I wasn't like the happiest baby. And then as a child, I was always complaining about my stomach hurting. And I would get these frequent um, what they considered stomach viruses. But looking back, I
Okay.
don't think that's what was happening,
Yeah.
because nobody else would get them. I would be sick for days. And,
Mhm.
even as an adult, I always thought stomach viruses were like a week long. And I have children, and
Oh
I'm
God,
like,
I hope
oh,
not.
they're only like 24 hours. So I knew that, something was very wrong, and I was eating just a super standard diet. I mean, we're talking like toaster strudels and chocolate
Oh man.
milk and peanut butter and jelly, all the things
I
that
love
they,
toaster strudels. Well, not
I
anymore, but I used to love them.
know, right? Pop Tart. I mean, all the yummy 80s foods and
Yes.
90s foods that we all think about growing up with. I lived off of those foods. And so and when in high school, well, let me back up too a little bit. In middle school, and this is something I've put the pieces together just recently, but we moved
Mhm.
houses, and my dad told me recently that the house we had moved into when I was in middle school had black mold. And
What?
they had to remediate the house, but we were living in the house while they were remediating it. And of
Oh my
course, now
gosh.
I know the detriment of that, but I was an incredibly anxious middle schooler. I had severe OCD. I probably would have been diagnosed with PANS if I would have seen myself
Wow.
as a practitioner.
Wow. Oh
I
my gosh, so
know.
interesting. I know this is why it's funny with functional medicine if y'all are a little bit newer to it. We usually take a timeline and understand things from, honestly birth, which I'm
Right.
so curious. Were you C-section? Were you vaginal?
I
Like
was a vaginal
okay,
delivery.
vaginal. Okay.
I was, but my mom didn't breastfeed.
Okay.
I think back then it was like, if it's hard, we have formula,
Totally.
no worries,
Totally. Totally. And so when we do this timeline, go all the way back to your mom's pregnancy with you and birth, and then also just all these little things. And so it is so interesting because we only know what we know. And like, obviously we don't know to
Yeah.
like for mold in like middle school and high school, but that so many people could be, exposed in that way. And they just don't even know it because, maybe their parents didn't know, or maybe they did, but
Right.
maybe like you just found out and you're much older than you were
Yes. And
in
it
middle
actually
school.
answers a lot of questions when you find out those things from your childhood, because
Yes.
at the time I was really struggling. My parents just thought, oh, she's like a teenager, anxious and like, dealing with her
Yes.
emotions. But I was really struggling. And it wasn't until college that I kind of took matters into my own hands, and
Yes.
I seeked out a gastrointestinal specialist, and he was very kind, but also did not give me any answers or any tools.
Yes.
Basically told me I had IBS, like, oh, you're fine, you have IBS. Uh, and then
Oh
and
gosh.
then I met Steven, my husband now, and it's such a God thing the way things line up, but he's like, oh, I'm diving into this paleo diet and I'm really into health and fitness. And I'm going to start cooking this way. And I think you would really benefit from it because you have so much gut and so many gut issues. And so he really turned me on to food being medicine.
Wow. Go
And so
Steven.
I know, but that was even before I got into functional medicine. So
Wow.
that happened, and I started playing around with diet changes. And then one of my best friends, Emily, called me one day. We had gone to nurse practitioner school together, and she just goes, "Hey, what do you like? What are you doing? Do you want to learn about functional medicine?" And that term was just a foreign language to me,
New. Very new.
totally
Yep.
new. Totally new. I had a baby, and at the time I was working part-time back in primary care, diagnosing kids with ear infections and stomach viruses and like giving them antibiotics. And I
Yeah.
said, "Well, I mean, I'm open to whatever. I'm kind of just coasting right now because I have a new baby." And so it was that conversation that led me to my first conference, my first functional medicine
Oh.
conference.
Wow, that's so crazy. I love though hearing like people's like storyline and their journey. And like obviously it's led to you to where you are at today. So better late than never. But
Right.
yes, even when you were getting the functional, I would say that was like, what year was that? That was like new,
So
that was
it
like newbie, like
Yeah,
newbie.
it would have been 2014, 20, early or late 2014, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Because I was thinking when I graduated high school in 2010, and then I went to UCF when I was in pre-med, and that was probably between 2010, 2012. And that was when I was like thinking on switching because functional wasn't. I don't even recall ever hearing that term. I didn't even hear like naturopathic, and naturopathic has been around for a
Hmm.
while, but that's like how non-popular it was. And so that's why I was just like, well, I just don't want to become like this MD who just passes out medications. And like, this is so
Right.
not my jam. So I was like, okay, I'll go into nutrition. So yes, around that time frame, like probably 2010, 20, maybe even to 15. I don't know exactly when functional medicine really got its rise, but like it was so unheard of. So I'm
Hmm.
curious, how many people do you think were at the conference? Like, was it pretty big or not really?
Okay, so this was the Medical Academy of Pediatric Special Needs. That was my very first one. I hadn't gone to the IFM quite yet.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this one was more about autism. It was, pediatric focused, and a lot of autism, a lot of learning disabilities, pandas, things that I had never heard of before. And
Okay.
it's grown quite a bit, but at the time it was a smaller conference and they had different levels of learning. So of course I was in the beginner track, and there was probably, I don't know, maybe 100 people in the room with me. But I
Yeah.
remember just leaving that conference, and it had felt like you had, taken a drink from a fire hose. You were just inundated with information and knowledge and things I had never heard in my life, like what's in your
Wow.
water? What are you drinking? What are you cooking? And it's funny to think about now the way that I live now and what I didn't know. but just all these new pearls, and like go home. And of course, at that point, you leave the conference and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't touch a receipt and I can't cook on my cookware and I
Yeah.
can't drink the water. And how am I going to survive?
It's literally like new parents, like first time parents. Just when you literally don't know what you're doing and everything's like an emergency, like, oh no, the baby like fell off the couch a little bit, it's an emergency. Like first time
Yeah.
parents are funny to watch. So definitely people who are brand new to like healthy living are also funny to watch because we all go through the stage of like so I don't know, when you start learning, it's just so extreme. It's just like, yeah, what water do I drink? Like, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, this world is toxic. And then you just like learn, and then it's slowly like you find your groove and you find things that you're
Yeah.
like, well, treat yourself a little bit. It's like not that big of a deal, but it's just
Right.
funny. I love seeing people like that in that stage because you remember what you were like and you were the exact same way.
Exactly. I know. It is very funny to look back on that.
Yes. So how do you bring it into your day to day now? So tell us like your morning routine. Like what do you eat? What do you drink? Do you do anything like prayer, journaling? Like just how do you get your day started off right? Because I know you're a busy practitioner. So how do you get your mind right in the morning?
Yes. Okay. So I would say I have two kinds of mornings, and I think people probably can relate. But I have the morning where I'm getting ready for work, and I
Yeah.
see patients a couple of days a week. So that morning feels a lot more hectic and busy. But I always wake up and I do pray in the morning. I do not specific meditation, but a little bit of just deep breathing and trying to wake my body up. I am a believer in tapping. I don't know if you do tapping,
Oh, I
Johanna.
haven't, but I've seen people do it. It's
Yeah,
intriguing.
it's been really great for me and just kind of getting the nervous system settled, and waking up the
Oh,
body. So I do that. I more recently have I bought a Loom box red light. And so I do that
nice.
in the morning too. It's supposed to help the body wake up a little bit, little red light. And so
Yes.
on the mornings that I work, I have to then get ready for work, get my kids ready and out the door. But on the other mornings that I'm just, getting them to school, I have a little more time. I usually get up and go work out.
Nice.
So
And
I'll
what's your
do,
workout of choice?
well, I do go to the gym and I do weights. I do
Nice.
some weights, and I do a little bit of cardio, but not a ton. And I do the sauna at the gym.
Nice.
That's been a great addition lately.
How
And
often do you
then
do it in the week? Like the sauna?
3 times a week,
Nice.
about 3 times. And then I really, I love walking. We have a dog, so I walk the dog twice a day. And that's how I'm getting like more movement in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
And you work, so you see patients, I'm assuming you go in office, and then the rest of the days of the week, do you work from home?
I do. Yes, I
Nice.
do, like, emails and catching up on prepping and things like that from home.
Nice. Nice. I love that. I know that's something that I've incorporated as well as just like throughout the day, like movement. And I'm really good at going to the gym too. But I think, as humans, we're supposed to be like moving and walking. So I would even argue that, just doing that 30-minute workout once a day, but you're sitting the rest of the day still isn't ideal. It's just getting up and moving,
Yeah.
whether you have a pet or a walking treadmill and a standing desk. I've been trying to
Mhm.
incorporate that more and more, I would say, in the last couple of years because it can be easy, just to sit, especially when you work from home and most of your work is on the screen.
You're so right. And actually, you brought up such a great point that I've been trying to incorporate at work now, because I work pretty far from here. And
Mm,
so, you're sitting in the car, then you're sitting on the computer talking to patients. And so at lunch, we are blessed to have an hour lunch break. So I will eat, and then my coworker and I will try to walk at least 20 minutes.
I love
You
that. Just like
know?
around the building.
Yes, I mean, out
Yes.
in the sunshine, get fresh
Yeah.
air, and it makes all the difference. Like, your body feels different when you're able to get up and move.
Yeah, I agree. I know it's even it doesn't even have to be long. Like you said, like 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Even if you don't work from home or work from home, like yeah, scheduling it into your calendar, like schedule like 10 to 10:15. I'm going on a quick like walk around the building.
Right.
after lunch and then at 3 to 3:15. Like it doesn't even have to be super long.
Mm-mm.
It's just getting those breaks. And then it also just rejuvenates you throughout the day too.
Yes.
Especially when it's patient load for sure. Sometimes you just
Yeah,
gotta
totally.
reset before next people for sure.
That's true.
Okay, and then walk us through like your nighttime routine. Anything that you do that kind of winds you down, helps you sleep well. This could be supplements, drinks, just again, lifestyle habits.
Oh yeah, let me think. One of the things I forgot to mention in the morning, I'm a big electrolyte person. I've kind
Yes.
of just really fallen in with my element packet in the morning, and I feel like it's done so much for my energy, for my digestion, for just, hydration. And so I do an element packet in the morning. And in the evening, I love my teas. I'll do like a nighttime tea or chamomile, and we'll do a walk after dinner. We try to do a family walk if we can, if we have time. And then my supplements, I'm big on. I did a hair mineral test recently. I think I was telling you about this, and so I have some minerals that I'm taking in the evening. I am a big fan of L-theanine, so I do L-theanine in the evening as well. And then I do magnesium lotion on my legs. I'll do the red light again. My husband
Ooh.
would like laugh listening to this because he looks over at me and I'm like, my mask, my red light, I'll do
Don't
the
touch it.
Theragun on my legs, like all the things.
Okay, does that hurt though?
No, no. I mean, there's different settings. So I'll do it on the lowest setting. And I
Oh my
find that it's
gosh.
just really calming. It's kind of like the tapping, it's like vibration on the body, kind of calms the
Mm.
nervous system a bit. So I'll use that sometimes on my neck and my back and my legs.
Ooh. Okay,
I'm
what
trying to think
magnesium
of,
lotion do you use? I'm trying to write this down so you can put it in the show notes.
oh, yeah. Ancient Minerals is
Oh
by
yes,
far
love
my
them.
favorite. They actually have a new one that's like a good night lotion. And
Oh.
it does have a tad bit of melatonin in it. But their products are awesome.
Yeah, I love them. I've used their like just for the bath, like their
Hmm.
salt and stuff. I love that. Was there a tea specifically that you said or no?
Well, chamomile, there's a good night tea. I'm trying to think of who makes it. Um, I
I
don't
think
know.
traditional medicinals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
traditional
yeah, yeah.
medicinals. That's the one. I could think of the label. And then I think it's New Medica L-theanine liquid that I'm a huge fan of. I'll give it to my kids. I'll hold it in my under my tongue for 30 seconds or so, and that just calms the body down, like releases
I
any
love L-theanine.
anxiety. I
I love
know.
L-theanine. Oh, yay. Okay, good. I love all this. Yeah, I know. It's it's there's like a post or it's like, who your husband expected to marry. And it's just like, all put together. And then like there's like the red light mask and like, just people just like crazy things, mouth taping, like all the things
Oh,
that people
yes.
do. And then it's like it's supposed to be funny. Because he looks over and you're just totally not sexy at all, but you're just doing
Right.
all your health things. Like it's so true.
Well, and I feel like my husband is like, okay, I married a totally different person, but one that was like,
True.
binging on queso and living her best life, and then figured out she can't eat any of that. And here we are, like the holistic route. And he's like, oh my gosh, you bought a red light.
I love it. I love it. I was doing red light a couple months. Well, I do it every day too, but I was doing it a couple months ago and it was in the morning and it was still dark. And Doug went outside and I usually do it on my dining room table, but it's like facing the window, but my window is shut. But red light's so powerful. So he's
Right.
outside and it's dark. And then looks at the side of our house and there's this red light that is glowing into the neighbor's house. And he takes a picture of it and he's just like, he comes in and he's like, this is what I see outside. And I'm like, oh my
Oh
gosh,
my
I can't
gosh.
imagine people just walking by or driving by. I still have the picture. It's hilarious. I'll have to send it to you. But it's so
That is
powerful.
very funny. It really is.
I love it. And
Oh
so
my goodness.
speaking of diet, like
Mhm.
what's your day in the life of eating? Like your go-to breakfast, lunches,
Mhm.
dinners, what are you avoiding? Because I know you have some
Okay.
restrictions.
Oh my gosh, I know. I had a friend tell me recently that I was a picky eater, And I said, wait a minute, I'm not picky. I don't like, I think that word has like a negative connotation. And I said, I'm not picky, but I am restricted. Like I'm pretty restricted. And
Yeah.
so I don't do dairy, I don't do gluten, corn, um, soy. I try to just kind of avoid all of that. So that is not in my diet. So my
Okay.
morning, I'll start out with about 2 or 3 Vital Farms eggs
Nice.
because I don't have chickens. I wish I
Yes.
did. But yeah, we'll do eggs. I really like doing either like sausage, all natural sausage with that, or
Ooh.
avocado, or I'll grate some potatoes and make a little hash with it. So
Oh.
that's a go-to for me. And then I love the paleo pancake recipe. I try to do that for my kiddos. So it's a couple of eggs, some almond butter, and a banana.
Ooh. I've seen that before. I've never made them, but I've seen like 3 ingredient pancakes. They look great.
Yeah, they're a go-to in our house because they're easy, they're clean. I know my kids are going to get good fat and protein that way, and they think
Yeah.
it's a pancake. What I mean, it is, but not exactly. But we'll do that a few times a week. And then I'm a big chai tea drinker. I don't do coffee, but I will do a little chai, and I've been putting Metagenics Ultra GI Replenish powder in my chai.
Ooh.
I know it's great. It has glutamine and protein and amino acids, and I just feel like it's been really healing for my gut. So I'll do that. Um, I put colostrum in there.
Ooh, yes. All the rage right now. I feel
All
like
the
we've been
all
using
the
it for
things.
such a long time. So it's to me, it's not new, but it's definitely newer on social. It's like everywhere right now.
Yeah, the Armra or whatever that brand is like all
Yeah.
over my newsfeed.
Yes. Yes. It's like we've been doing this for a hot minute.
I know. So all the things, and then lunch. I'm a big leftovers girl, which I never have been in my life, but I think it's the easiest way to eat the cleanest because I'll cook a
Yes.
big dinner, paleo mostly. I'm really into the defined dish recipes right now, so it's like
Yes.
anything that she's put out, I'm about. So we'll make a big dinner and then I'll just Tupperware that and put it in the fridge, and that's pretty much my lunch.
Yeah. That makes life simple, honestly.
I know, because it is really hard to eat clean if I feel like if you don't have it readily available to you, or if
Yeah.
it's something else you have to cook or prep,
Yeah.
easier just to make a big dinner and then eat off of that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like just the smack dab middle of the day. And if I can like choose to not think about one meal, I would love it for it to be lunch because dinner I have to cook for everyone. Breakfast is
Right.
like you, very straightforward, usually somewhat of the same. Maybe we'll spice up like what I put in my eggs, like veggie wise. But for the most part, I feel like lunch is the most difficult. And so if I don't have anything, I'll turn to like tuna salad real quick because that's pretty quick to whip
Right.
up. But obviously I can only do that so much. So like I prefer, yeah, just to eat leftovers and be able to, eat the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't leftovers don't bother me. I know some people can't do it, but
Yeah.
I do not mind.
I'm good if it's like, only a day or so old. Like once it gets a few days, I'm like, oh, I don't know that I can. Like it
Really?
doesn't sit well with me. Like I don't love leftovers.
Oh, it's so funny because like my friends will, yeah, we definitely will make fun of me of I'll be like 4 days on this like
Uh-huh.
leftovers. And I have some friends that are like, that is disgusting. And I'm like, I don't know. I never had an issue.
You have a strong stomach. That's good.
So I just have very diverse bugs. I'm just kidding.
Right. Oh my, good.
That's too funny. And then so dinner, defined dish. I do love her stuff. Have you bought her new book? I haven't bought her new cookbook that came out.
I've been meaning to. I need to.
Okay.
I just need to pull the trigger. I just get online. I think it's just so easy to Google stuff to put, define dish dinners is really my go-to
Oh,
Google. And
okay.
then she has a whole archive of all of these beautiful dinners. And so that's what I've been doing lately. Um, and
Okay.
then just, not Instagram. What is it that has all of the recipes? Pinterest.
But
I love Pinterest. I love the boards. I get on there and I just, paleo dinner. And there's so many
yes.
things that pop up and then you can save it, and that's really where I go to find all of my
Yeah.
recipes.
Oh, nice. Yes, I would say that's usually what I do, but I do love a good cookbook. I will say her
Oh,
cookbook, I would say I made a lot in her first one. And then I do have her second. I don't have the newest one, but I do have her second one, The Comfortable Kitchen.
uh,
And she does get a little bit more, I'm not picky, but I'm pretty like um I guess American, like the
oh,
style of the
okay.
way I eat. Like
Right.
it's healthy stuff, but it's just I
Sure.
don't like tons of like I don't know, very
Spices and
culture, like
yeah.
diverse food. And so I feel like her second cookbook, she was like getting more into that. I'm like, dang, like I don't love all this stuff. So there's a handful of recipes that I love in there, and I'm sure it's good, but I guess my palate, I guess, is still a little boring in a sense.
No. I
Like
get
I'll do
what
some
you're saying.
Asian,
Sure.
but I don't really I guess in some Mexican like tacos and taco
Uh-huh.
skillets and stuff, but I usually don't go beyond that. Like Indian, I usually don't like tend to love because it's very spicy. I do like curry occasionally, but I don't know. I don't know, maybe that is considered picky eater. I don't know.
Well, I think everybody has different palates and
Yes, like tastes.
yeah. We actually are like a big curry family, if that's not funny,
Oh,
because I think when I was starting to learn how to cook gluten-free and what to buy and that just came very easy to me. It was like, okay, I can make the curry sauce. It's coconut milk. You throw some meat in there, you throw lots
yeah.
of veggies, and it just was an easy kind of, mixture. My kids liked it. And so we do quite a few curries in our house.
Maybe I need to give it a chance too. I think Doug has mentioned he's not a huge fan of curries. I am.
Mm.
I feel like my mom only did like, I love curry spice. Like I love, there's actually, I think it is in the defined one of her cookbooks. She has this curry chicken salad and it's
Ooh,
incredible. It is so good. It's like your normal like
yeah.
rotisserie chicken and avocado oil mayo. But she uses curry as a seasoning. I think there's celery and raisins or grapes. Anyways, oh, and some like
Ooh,
cashews, but it is the best chicken salad ever. So I
okay.
will say I'm a fan of like curry chicken salad. So I like the flavor, but yeah, I haven't made like a coconut milk based curry in so long. Maybe I'll have to add it next week
Gotta
on our,
venture out.
yes, and I'll let you know.
Let me know how you like it.
Yes. And I know you mentioned just, prayer and all that stuff, but is there any other like mental health tools, whether it's apps or practices that you do to like help your mental health? Because I know just being a busy practitioner and a mom, like we're always on the go, we're always like really busy. So
Mm.
like, is there any other mental health things that you can do to ground yourself?
I mean, I think gratitude and even a gratitude journal is life changing, can really
Oh,
shift your mindset. So I do recommend that to a lot of my patients. I think I'm in a Bible study, so we do a lot of really good books that
mm,
help you focus on gratitude and focus on prayer. And so if that's of interest to other people, I recommend looking
yeah,
into those books. And they're even kind of self-guided tools that you can utilize.
yeah,
Um, I got an aura ring in December for my
yeah,
birthday. So that's kind of new for me too. I forgot about my aura ring, but I'm loving it. And I don't know that this
yes,
plays, into the mental health side of things, but I think kind of because
it
I've
does.
been tracking my sleep and I really have been able to figure out things that affect me negatively at night, affect my energy during the day. I can obviously look at my activity and how well I'm doing in those departments. It measures your HRV. So that's been
Yeah,
fascinating for me and kind of looking into that stress component.
yeah,
So I think having that tool, because as humans, it's hard to remember yesterday. It's hard to remember like a month
yes,
ago. Like, what was I doing last month that really helped me to sleep better or
for
to,
sure.
how my HRV was really great last week. But having
Yes.
this tool and being able to reflect back on it has been really helpful for me.
Yes. I know I looked at mine that's like the first thing I actually do wake up. I know people say like I don't touch my phone for the first hour. No, immediately when I wake up, I'm like, how's my
Yeah.
sleep? I love opening my
Yes.
or app up. And last night it said, "Oh, you got some really good sleep. Like, what did you do different?" And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, the only thing that I've done that I haven't actually done in a while, because I have to wait for hair wash day, but I was like, I did sauna around dinner time, and I haven't
Oh,
saunaed in a long time. I don't know. I feel like when it's hair wash day, I think I just like, I just need to hop in the shower. I don't have time to
hmm
sauna and whatever. So I've missed it. So I did it yesterday. And yes, I was like, I wonder, so I'm going to try it again. But I'm like, did
okay.
that really impact my sleep? Because my sleep score
Wow.
is 92 today. And I'm like, okay,
Wow.
well, I'm going to try sauna again, right? But like around dinner time and see if I get the
Yeah.
same result.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I guess it did. Yeah, it does relax. Like post sauna,
hmm
not during the sauna because your heart rate is up, but post
hmm
sauna, you definitely get a nice relaxation feel, or at least I do. And so
Yeah.
that could definitely have played a role.
That's
Um,
awesome. Okay. I'll have to
yes,
move my sauna time to the
yes. See?
evening.
What I'm so curious, what is your HRV? I love HRV
Well,
so much.
okay, it's all over the place. Let me tell you. So we were just, on spring break, and so I just want to tell you how good it was while we were on spring break
Nice. Hint,
because I just
relaxation.
laugh. I'm like, oh yes, like my HRV was so much better. I'm trying to find where it was.
It's so
Um,
true.
where would it be? Let's see. Sleep. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so it got into the 80s when we were on
Yes.
spring break. Okay, and I was like, all right.
Love
But
that.
I mean, 70s normally, I would say
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
70s to 90s. What? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think I
that's
don't know.
good. Yeah, mine's usually 80s on the lower end and higher end is 110. So
Oh, that's impressive.
yes. But it's so interesting because when you look into HRV, because I love HRV, I think it's such a
Mhm.
cool tool. And there's so many studies that show like how it can estimate like longevity and just
Right,
like honestly, just your resilience to stress. And it's just so interesting. But there's no exact like bracket of like,
right.
okay, you're really good when you're 80 to 100. And
hmm
I don't know. It's wild to me that we know so much about this marker, but there's no like set in stone, like, I don't know,
Yeah, how to
standards and reference
compare.
ranges.
Yes.
Yeah. Some will say like, oh, just take yours and then you know what's low for you and what's high for you. But I think for the most part, what I have seen is like, yes, usually when it's like under 50,
Yeah,
Doug,
it's not good.
um, my husband.
Oh
Yes,
no,
it's
you're
like not
calling him out.
ideal. I know I am always on him. He went to Colorado and he was on vacation, but I think just the stress of the body and altitude. And he was like,
Uh-huh.
well, his is kind of always sucks, but yeah, his was like over spring break 28. And I'm like,
Oh,
yes, it's so bad.
28.
Yes. So that's why I'm like, I do
Oh
think
my
that there's a
goodness.
standard of like anything lower than 50. I would
Yeah.
feel, even though that may be your normal, I would question like, are you
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I've heard that too.
Okay.
Like under 50 is not great. And then if you're over 100, you're outstanding, which I haven't reached that yet. I'm still working on it.
Yes. I would say my key is I need like a day, usually on the weekend, but a day where I truly am just like lounging in bed, watching shows, reading books, not like it's a rest day, so I'm not doing any intense exercise.
Right.
And like my whole day, because I love Aura Ring where you can see your stress like up and
Yes.
down, and it's like constantly and like restored or relaxed. And I would say that's probably what gives me, because people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I would say that's what kind of gives me that like boost because I do like, it's a whole day where I'm not doing anything. I know you're a busy gal and a social gal, so you're always doing stuff. Maybe you should take some of those
I
days
do
where
like
you do
my
nothing.
social hour. Well, funny enough for you to say that, it was probably a month ago that one of my kids was sick and I just sat on the couch with him probably for 7 hours, watching a movie or reading and my stress, it was the lowest stress that I had had since I had my Aura ring. And I'm like, okay, so
Yeah,
this is
just
it.
reminds you to slow down.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, obviously we have to be like moving, but I definitely agree that even like a day of the week where you're just truly doing not much and doing things you love, man, it's so good on your HRV in the long term.
Yeah, I agree. And I've noticed my most stressful days are the ones where I'm seeing patients. And I was trying to think through that, and I'm like, well, it's not, I don't feel stressed out like you would if, yeah, I don't
Right.
know, you had like an incident that made you stressed, right? Like an
Like public
argument
speaking,
or
like you're
public
about to go on public
speaking
speaking. Yeah.
where you feel your heart rate just going and you feel that anxiety. I don't feel that when I'm with patients, but what I think it is I'm talking so much and I'm
Yeah.
not breathing. Isn't and
Mm,
so I thought, gosh,
yeah.
I need to focus on these deep breaths more. And when I'm not talking and they're talking, I'm breathing.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. I know. I was even at the dentist, and obviously going to the dentist always makes me nervous, even though he's great. And I don't know why it does, but it does. And then,
Yeah.
like, during, I was getting a filling done, and during it, I looked at my aura ring. And because I was laying there and I was just focusing on like deep breathing, like, it was real great. And I'm like, going to the
Wow.
dentist is technically really great for my stress levels because I just lay there and just focus on my breath for like
Yeah,
30 minutes and it's great.
that is so true. It's so healing.
I love that. Well, where can we find you? Thank you so much for joining us and
Oh, thank
sharing
you,
with us
Lahana.
your BPS, but where can we find you?
Well, okay, I'm at Alive and Well, Austin. We're about to open two new locations. So I'm at the Austin one, and I'm also on Instagram. My more professional page is Healthy Texas Home, Healthy TX Home. And so I opened that to try and just share more information with my patients and share things from Alive and Well. And I'm not,
Yes.
I'm not super active on there, but I try to put little things on there when I have time.
Are you virtual or are you only like they would only be able to see you if they go to the Austin location?
I'm both, actually. Yeah, we see patients virtually. They have to be Texas residents because
Okay.
of our licensure. But yeah, they can come in person, they can do virtual. We do recommend seeing our patients in person at least once a year, just for licensure purposes.
Yeah.
And coming up, actually next month in April, we are going to be launching our pediatric gut program.
Yay.
And so that'll be really fun because it's all about the gut. People are going to get to do a stool study, which, we love doing that.
Love. Yes.
But it's just a good intro into functional medicine. And as we all know, anything, any issues, any wellness, any kind of health starts in the gut. And
Yeah.
so I think it's important for people to know that and could even be preventative for their kids because, I wish that we had this information, we had these tools when I was a kid. I feel like it could
I
have
know.
changed so much for me.
Would have been great.
Yeah, right.
Yes. No, I know. It's amazing how far we've come and there's still so much. Like I feel like, the gut is still so much we need to explore and so much we'll learn in the next 50 years. But yeah, I love all these resources that we have. So
I
yes,
know.
thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to put your links in the show notes and it was
Thank
so nice
you,
chatting.
Hannah. Thank you so much. Good to see you.